For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court.
Tommy Robinson's imprisonment takes a dark turn as shocking new details emerge. Visitors forced to sign gag orders, silencing any discussion about their conversations with him. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. What secrets are they trying to hide? The alarming measures taken against Robinson raise serious questions about justice and free speech in the UK. Is this still a democracy, or are we witnessing the rise of something more sinister? Outside the prison walls, a crowd of Tommy Robinson's supporters gathers, their chants reverberating against the cold stone facade.
Tommy Robinson has been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 18 months after admitting contempt of court.
I mean, he's effectively been jailed for repeating false allegations he made over the past 2 years that were in breach of a court injunction. He, for 2 years he didn't, and then he started repeating them in online interviews and in a film. He made a 90-minute film that was shown a number of times.
The scene is a stark contrast to the eerie silence inside, where Robinson finds himself cut off from the world in ways that go far beyond standard prison protocol. As a visitor approaches the prison gates, hope mingles with apprehension. They've come to speak with Robinson, but what awaits them is far from a typical visitation. Instead of being ushered through security, they're confronted with an unexpected document, a legal form that will effectively seal their lips about anything discussed during the visit. The visitor's hand hovers over the paper, pen poised uncertainly. This isn't just a formality, it's a binding gag order. The implications are chilling. What could be so sensitive about Robinson's case that it requires such extreme measures? The very existence of these orders raises alarming questions about the true nature of his imprisonment. These unprecedented restrictions on Robinson's visitors aren't just about controlling information, they're a direct assault on free speech. Critics argue that the legal system is being weaponized to enforce a political agenda, with Robinson's case exemplifying a broader trend of selective law enforcement based on political alignment. It's a troubling development that calls into question the very foundations of justice in a democratic society. The Ministry of Justice and prison officials have remained tight-lipped about the legal precedents for such gag orders. Their silence only fuels speculation about the motivations behind these restrictions. Are they simply trying to maintain order, or is there something more sinister at play? The lack of transparency is deeply concerning, especially given the high-profile nature of Robinson's case. This situation echoes previous instances where the justice system has faced criticism for controlling narratives. It suggests a pattern of behavior aimed at suppressing dissenting voices, a tactic that has no place in a free and open society. The gag orders imposed on Robinson's visitors are seen by many as an attempt to silence not just Robinson himself, but anyone who might shed light on his situation. As we peel back the layers of this case, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The treatment of Tommy Robinson raises serious concerns about free speech and the true nature of his imprisonment. The use of gag orders on visitors is a shocking twist that demands closer scrutiny. In a democracy, the public has a right to know what's happening behind prison walls, especially in high-profile cases like this. The question now is, who will speak up when speaking itself has become punishable offense? While gag orders silence Robinson's supporters, another group finds their voice suppressed in an entirely different arena. What if Robinson's treatment is just the tip of an iceberg of broken promises and shattered dreams? The story of British fishermen post-Brexit reveals a startling parallel that might change how you view political discontent in the UK. As Robinson sits in his cell, cut off from the world, a wave of frustration is sweeping across Britain's coastlines. The fishermen, once buoyed by Brexit's promises of reclaiming control over British waters, now face an uncertain future that's far from what they were led to expect. The optimism that once fueled their support for take back control has soured into a bitter taste of betrayal. Paul Lines, a local fisherman from Suffolk, doesn't mince words when expressing his disillusionment. "I feel absolutely hurt and infuriated by the hand that's been dealt to people who work the sea," he says, his voice tinged with anger and disappointment. "Everything is stacked against us at the minute." Lines' sentiment echoes through fishing communities, where the promise of a brighter post-Brexit future has failed to materialize. The frustration isn't limited to Suffolk. In Cornwall, skipper Bracken Pearce shares a similar view, highlighting the growing divide between coastal communities and political leaders. "We never gained anything from the Conservatives in the first place," Pearce states, his words a damning indictment of the government's handling of fishing rights. This widespread disillusionment among fishermen mirrors the sense of injustice felt by Robinson's supporters, revealing a common thread of discontent spanning diverse segments of society. As negotiations over fishing waters continue, the spectre of further concessions to the EU looms large. For many in the fishing industry, this potential compromise feels like a final betrayal, threatening to deliver a fatal blow to an already struggling sector. The economic impact of Brexit on these coastal communities has been severe, with many fishermen feeling that their needs and concerns have been cast aside in favor of political expediency. The parallels between Robinson's case and the plight of the fishermen are striking. Both stories speak to a growing crisis of trust in UK politics, where promises made are quickly forgotten and the voices of ordinary citizens are silenced or ignored. Just as Robinson's supporters feel the weight of gag orders, fishermen find themselves struggling against a tide of broken promises and unfulfilled expectations. This convergence of discontent signals a potential turning point in the British political landscape. Ex-Brexit party MEP June. Mumi's words capture the fighting spirit that's emerging. "If Starmer sells out on fishing, we're not going to let them. We're going to fight with the farmers. We've got to fight like hell." It's a sentiment that could easily apply to both Robinson's supporters and the fishermen, united in their determination to challenge a system they believe has failed them. The parallel stories of Tommy Robinson and the struggling fishermen paint a vivid picture of growing discontent in British politics. It's not just about one man's imprisonment or a single industry's struggles. It's a broader narrative of frustration and disillusionment sweeping across different segments of society. Recent polling data adds fuel to this fire of political upheaval. Reform UK, a party that's positioned itself as an alternative to the establishment, is projected to gain an additional 5 seats if an election were held today. This surge in support for Reform UK isn't happening in isolation. The Tories are expected to bolster their ranks by 17 MPs, while Labour could see their numbers cut by 21 seats. These shifts in political allegiances aren't just dry statistics. They're a clear signal that the British public is seeking change. The convergence of discontent we're seeing, from prison cells to fishing waters, suggests we might be on the cusp of a significant turning point in the UK's political landscape. The question now is, how will the established parties respond to this growing wave of dissatisfaction?